Welcome back.
Man, this is a long chapter.
Yeah, it's a long chapter, and we're kind of coming to the end of the book, obviously. Chapter 11. Title is Help Your Heart with These Supplements. And
this chapter in particular, you turned me on to something that was really neat. We both have Audible, we have audio books, and then obviously the physical copy. And by listening and reading along, I think that this, by listening and reading along and highlighting, I think that this actually helped quite a bit with this chapter in particular.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what did I just hear or what did I just read? And like, all right, rewind, go back and highlight it.
Yeah.
There's just so much info in this chapter. If you're a person who's had a heart issue, you got high triglycerides, you tendency to have blood clots, or you've had stents, this is a chapter that you really want to. I know there's a lot in, not to be really controversial or anything right now, but there's a lot going on with the vaccine, the jab, and myocarditis, and blood clotting, and everything else. If you've got the vaccine and you're really worried about what's going on, and maybe you could have blood clotting or something else, this is the chapter for you.
Stop by Books A Million and just read this chapter.
Yeah.
You've got to buy the whole book.
If you're like, oh, I got the jab and I'm now regretting it, I know people who've gotten blood clots, blah, 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 blah. Read this chapter.
Yeah. So in fairness, normally we try not to talk much about it, because we kind of both want to come in with our own ideas. But for the sake of time and the length of this chapter, there are 4 that they call the awesome foursome. We're going to spend a little more time on those 4, and then we'll kind of quickly go through the rest of them that they mention for a variety of benefits and what have you.
So this is all about vitamins and minerals, this chapter, and I highlighted a quote in here. Let's be clear. Conventional medicine is simply terrific at keeping people alive in emergencies. But basically goes on to say that not a good job in prevention.
Can I read the quote that I highlighted?
Yeah, absolutely.
But as good as conventional medicine is at treating people in acute situations, think car wreck, broken leg, it's astonishingly bad at overall preventative care.
Nice. So you both got the same thing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So the first one they mention is coenzyme Q10, CoQ10.
CoQ10. They call it the spark of life, right? Getting spam calls.
I know. Right. Yeah.
And it's like a super vitamin, right?
It is. So the CoQ10, it's found throughout the body, right? And I think the highest concentration of it is in the heart. And what I guess what it does is it acts as the energy delivery. They get into this stuff called ATP, and they say it's like the gas to your car. CoQ10 is to your body and your heart.
Yeah, it said just as gasoline engine can't work without spark plugs, the human body can't work without CoQ10.
Yeah. And so it essentially helps the cells use oxygen and create more energy.
Yep.
So
you can get a deficiency of it due to taking statins. We've talked about that before.
Right.
It's not in a lot of foods, right? It's only in like organ meats and things like that.
Right. Liver and organ meats, I think they said. You can find it, what they say, in really young lamb meat, but I don't think at a high concentration. So the easiest thing to do, I guess, in this situation is supplementation. They do recommend at least 100 milligrams twice a day. So 200 milligrams
and they said day. Statins, if you're taking statins, it is a must.
Oh, this is the one, right, where they said if you're on a statin, run, don't walk. And get on this one, right? I don't recall, or at least I didn't highlight anywhere. Some of these they get into look for this one that's labeled this way. That wasn't in here with the CoQ10 that I saw.
So this is a second, third edition, whatever this is, revised, and it says, since the publication of the first edition, there's been an explosion in the medical literature on the cardiovascular merits of CoQ10. We now know that CoQ10 reduces LPA, improves endothelial function, decreases cholesterol, triglyceride levels, increases HDL, decreases fasting blood sugar, decreases HbA1c, and just for good measure, reduces LDL oxidation, which is the big killer.
So it checks all the boxes?
Checks all the boxes.
Can't think of another one.
Heart problem, CoQ10 seems to be a must.
Yeah, especially if you're
why it's one of the big four.
On a statin.
Yep.
So the next one I'd never even heard of.
Neither did I.
Okay. So it's capital D hyphen ribose, RIBOSE. And basically, I guess it's a 5-carbon sugar, and it says without D-Ribose, there would be no ATP. And the ATP is the energy.
Right.
So you have to imagine, I don't remember if it was in the D-Ribose section or not, but it kind of was that moment where I went, oh, now I get it, right? Mm-hmm. The heart is the most metabolically active thing in your body.
From an energy perspective, it's firing.
Never gets good days off.
Right.
Never. It's constantly going all the time. So if you get low on ATP, therefore low on usable energy within the body, the heart's going to suffer because it uses way more than anything else.
Yeah, so it says a shortage of D-Ribose is a shortage of ATP, right?
Yep.
Synthesized in every cell in the body. But, yeah.
Yeah, apparently it works really fast, too. He tells a story of a guy named Lewis that was suffering, blah, blah, blah. He was on all these prescription meds. Something about they found uric acid in his blood. Or maybe I think they found it in his urine, which meant that it was high in his blood. Whatever.
High levels of uric acid.
Whatever.
Right.
Dr. Sinatra went, oh, we need to get you on D-Ribose. And they did.
And coupled it with CoQ10.
Right. And L-carnitine, actually.
Yep.
But I guess the guy's son was a dentist, so we were actually telling dentist jokes a second ago, and whether they're real doctors, of course they are. This dentist called him up and said, "You fixed my dad."
That's awesome.
Like in days. You fixed my dad.
It works really good. I think they mentioned you use this. This can be used for not just people with heart disease, but also people who's, professional athletes that put a constant strain on their heart, and they gave the different dosages.
Dude, I'm going to call my mom. They mentioned fibromyalgia. They mentioned congestive heart failure.
Yep.
And significant improvements for
that's a good one.
All of those things. So I guess if
she might need to be on the big four.
Efficiently delivering energy throughout the body, it kind of makes sense, right? So, I highlighted the 5 grams daily as they're recommended, and then they go up.
Yeah, it was 5 grams for prevention, or if you're a high-level athlete, and then it said, patients with heart disease, patients with severe heart disease. So
I did jump on Amazon, just typed in D-Ribose, and there's tons of it.
So, sweet.
Despite that I had never heard of it, looks like it's all over the place. So,
sweet. All right, next one.
Next one, L-carnitine.
Yeah. Says it's the shuttle bus for fatty acids, right?
Shuttle bus for fatty acids.
Yep.
Right.
Basically, the heart gets 60% of its energy from fat. It's very important that the body has enough L-carnitine to shuttle the fatty acids into the heart muscles. So,
right.
Sounds pretty important.
Right. So, again, I had heard of L-carnitine. I actually highlighted congestive heart failure again.
Yeah, this was a big one. People who have a difficult time walking. They mentioned different studies where people started taking L-carnitine and are able to double the distance that they are able to. I mean, without it's like oxygen deprivation to the heart, right? I mean, so they talk about people, they can breathe easier. A lot of people with heart conditions have walk to the mailbox and back, and they have a hard time breathing. It points out that it could work with CoQ10 as well, but people that are on L-carnitine see significant improvement in the amount of exercise that they can do, which is, that's a snowball effect,
right? Well, specifically, one of the studies was of congestive heart failure patients, and they all demonstrated an increase of exercise endurance while on L-carnitine.
I mean, that's again, that's a snowball, right? If you're a heart patient and you got issues with your heart and you know you need to be exercising, but you can't exercise because you can't breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, in fact, what I was saying a minute ago, the bottom line is the heart is the most metabolically active tissue in the body, and thus it requires a huge and constant amount of energy molecules, or ATPs.
Yeah. I highlighted a couple other spots. In addition to the work that it does inside the heart, it's also a very powerful cardioprotective antioxidant. And they also mention here related protection related from oxidative stress due to cardiovascular and myocardial damage.
So oxidation, inflammation, it helps with both.
Yep. So once again, jab, myocarditis.
Yep.
This is a good one to be taken.
Yep. So last of the awesome foursome they have is magnesium. And it looks like magnesium does a couple things. They call it the great relaxer, but the first thing they talk about is it blocks calcium buildup.
In the heart, right?
In the heart and arteries.
And they say calcium buildup in the heart is a bad thing. You
good,
don't want to.
Good for bones.
Good for bones, bad for heart, right?
Yeah. So what was the other things? And it helps manage blood sugar. So it blocks calcium. It helps manage blood sugar. They go deep into how it does relax, and that's one of the reasons we take Epsom salt baths. Is there's a high concentration of magnesium, and it helps relax sore muscles.
And if it's doing that for muscles, what do you think it's doing for your heart?
Right.
I did highlight one study of 60 hypertensive subjects, high blood pressure, who were given magnesium supplementation, showed a significant reduction in blood pressure over an 8-week period. Now, the only other thing that I mean, they recommend 400 milligrams per day. I have no idea what I've taken before. I have a difficult time absorbing magnesium. I don't know if other people have that issue, but for me, I mean, it
How
can
do
cause.
you possibly know that?
Because when I take it, I go.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're renting it, is what you're saying.
I am renting the magnesium.
Gotcha.
So
didn't mean to make you go there.
No, but side effects are important, and people should understand. I mean, if I'm a little clogged up, you take a little magnesium and it's woo.
So I just made the connection, like milk of magnesium, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and there are there's a tons of different magnesium, a magnesium citrate or straight magnesium. I mean, there's tons of experiment with some of the ones, the various kinds. If you're having the same issue, I found that I can tolerate citrate a lot easier. And evidently, I've talked to a holistic doctor before, and she told me, she's like, you can tolerate the citrate, but I can't tolerate the other kinds. It's weird.
Huh.
So that was news to her.
To summarize the awesome foursome, and keep in mind, this is a cholesterol and heart health book, so their focus is on heart health. But their awesome foursome is CoQ10, D-Ribose, L-carnitine, and magnesium. So the rest of these we'll kind of go through pretty quickly.
Yeah, we can. Niacin was interesting. Niacin will lower your triglycerides 20 to 50%, and LDL cholesterol by 10 to 25%. That was an interesting one.
While raising HDL.
Yep. There are some side effects to the niacin we talked about briefly. Funny. When you first start taking it, you can get a niacin flush, which evidently makes your skin feel like it's on fire. You can feel like you're dying, is what the guy said. He's like, literally nothing bad is happening. But I mean, the guy called his doctor. He's like, holy crap, what's going on? And the guy was like, what'd you take? He's like, I took my vitamins. And niacin? Yeah, it's called a niacin flush. It also can cause issues with the liver, right? Didn't we talk about that a little bit?
So it's, quote, very taxing on the liver. So if you're diabetic or have a liver ailment, talk to your doctor before supplementing niacin.
Vitamin E was weird.
That's like the skin vitamin, right? Women buy it in lotion. I shouldn't say, I'm sorry. people buy it.
They talked about if you take a vitamin E, the gist of this one, if you take a vitamin E, we recommend that you get it from a supplement labeled mixed tocopherols.
Yeah. And they go into it. Apparently, alpha tocopherol is what the cheaper ones are made of, and it's inflammatory, and there's like alpha, beta, delta, whatever.
And once again, the oxidative stress, it works for the oxidative stress on the LDL, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But vitamin E, make sure you're taking the right kind.
Yep. Next is omega-3s. We've beat that to death in prior Snackcasts. Omega-3s are very anti-inflammatory. Omega-6s are inflammatory. So you want to supplement your omega-3s to make sure you keep that balance.
Lowers your triglycerides again, which is a big
Yep.
thing. You get them, your omega-3s, you can get them in fish oils and that kind of thing.
Pantethine, which is vitamin B5. Again, significant positive changes in triglycerides, LDL cholesterol, VLDL, and increases HDL.
Yeah. I guess they say
it kind of gets so exhaustive. It's like I'm not going to take 48 supplements every morning. Right.
They said that panthenine, if it wouldn't be their first supplement.
Right.
if you go to the big four.
Right. Glucosamine sulfate, the same glucosamine that's in joint health.
Yep.
Looks like it's an anti-inflammatory, and when combined with fish oil, it's a double whammy of anti-inflammatory power.
It makes sense. Anti-inflammatory, it's a joint pain, pain, inflammation.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Omega-7s, also called palmolithic.
I wasn't going to try and say it.
Palmitoleic?
Palmitoleic, Kevin.
Palmitoleic. Dang, nice work. Been shown to basically high blood pressure or high blood sugar, elevated lipids, excessive body fat, and inevitably insulin resistance. I guess it goes to help these things. It actually enhances insulin sensitivity, which is the exact opposite of the dreaded insulin resistance. So omega-7s looks pretty powerful as well.
Yep. And then so all of them we just mentioned had their own little section. These are like their honorable mentions in the back, right? Nowhere near as much time dedicated to them. So we'll just cruise through. Vitamin C, we've beat that to death.
Love that one.
Yep. Curcumin, I actually take that one now. Resveratrol, you can do this one.
Resveratrol. There you go.
All right.
Yep.
Red wine. So it's when people say it's heart healthy, that's the chemical in red wine.
Again, lowers oxidized LDL.
Don't chug a whole box of wine at dinner.
Box. We are in Polk County. County, Florida. A box of wine.
Right. That's the good stuff, man.
Right.
Citrus bergamot. I have no idea what that is.
Glad you pronounced that. I was going to say bergamot.
Yeah. Berberine. I didn't spend much time on these. Cocoa flavonoids.
That was another interesting. Dark chocolates, not Hershey's Kisses. No.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the last one because I can't say it.
Do what?
I'm going to give you the last one because I can't say it.
Astax.
Boho said what?
Astaxanthin. It sounds like you as tax and thin.
Woo.
Like you were taxed because you're thin. As tax and thin.
That thing he mentioned is what gives the orange-red color to salmon, shrimp, lobster, and crab. It's an antioxidant. It says it's more powerful than vitamin C.
Wow.
So eat your shrimp, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty much it. They end it with a little plea to help convince your doctor, which might be difficult. They do open the chapter explaining, kind of how Big Pharma, through much of their lobbying techniques, kind of doctors lean towards pharma first. So I think the next one might be the last chapter of the book. We'll see. We're sorry this ran so long, but it was kind of a long chapter.
Yep.
Questions, comments, concerns, hit us at snackcast@yes.fit.
Stay moving.
See you.